Hello, it's Regina. Welcome back to my haunted library. Today I am doing something I haven't done for a while, and that is a wrap-up video for the month of July. So let's get started. I'm going to do something a little different for August, which I'm going to do a separate video about. I'm actually going to do a TBR, but instead of doing horror, I'm going to dedicate my reading for the month of August to what I'm calling Books of My Father. And this is just a personal little reading journey I'm on to celebrate what would have been my dad's 100th birthday this August. He's been dead for decades, but I wanted to honor him by looking at some of the books that were his favorites, which are very different from the books that I read, but he is definitely one of the reasons why I'm the reader that I am and the writer, and just all the gifts that he gave me were myriad. And so for the month of August, I'm going to be reading his favorite books, a few of them. And some of them are very long, so I'm going to give myself the whole month to do it. So I'm going to take a break from my usual schlocky horror reads and read something different. But let's get started on what I read for the month of July. Okay, well, let's start with the big one. This is Wanderers by Chuck Wendig, and it's quite a tome. It's like 800 pages long. It's an epic, dystopian, I guess, kind of novel, disaster novel about a disease threatening the world, and it's quite involved and quite good. So if you haven't read this yet, I would definitely recommend this if you're up for like a really long book. Chuck Wendig's an excellent writer, and I really enjoyed this. That took up a lot of my time. Then I read Jaws by Peter Benchley. This was a reread, and I read this as part of my Haunted Drive-In series. And I'll link the video below from that whole discussion I had with my friend James, who's a big Jaws fan. I read the book, and this was a really quick read. I read it in like a couple days, and the book is very different from the movie, but it's still really good. Oh, and then I read Castaways by Brian Keene. I reshelved that book somewhere, but I couldn't find it because I put it back in the wrong place. I've always enjoyed reading Brian Keene's books. I always kind of know that I'm in for a fun ride. I guess it would be kind of like a murder spree slasher story with some supernatural elements, kind of like the Island of Dr. Moreau meets not Fantasy Island. I'm totally... We're not in the 70s anymore. Survivor, that's it. Survivor, the reality show, which I never really watched, but I remember when it was really popular. So I guess I could be somewhat dated, but not really. It's kind of an homage to Richard Lehman, and I really enjoyed it. All right, next up. This is a book from an indie author, and I'm gonna have to put my glasses on to read it. It's horrible. The Witch of Primrose Hill by C.J. Wright. C.J. Wright is another fellow booktuber and author, indie author, and he was kind enough to read my book, Unmasked, so it's not even returned the favor. I like to read indie books, and if someone reaches out and they have a book they'd like me to read, I'm always willing to do that, and I have a queue of indie books that I will get to very soon. But this was lovely. This was a little like English village cozy about a group of school children discovering there's a witch living in their village, and a witch that kills children. It was really good, and it's part of a series, and I really do think that I'm going to continue reading this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Honestly, it was a 5-star read. So I could like up it to 5 stars because it was really that good. My only criticism is that I think that his book might get a little more attention if he just worked on having like a better cover. The cover, I think, is kind of maybe holds back a reader from checking it out. And I know covers are important, so I'm just passing that on, but it was really good. He's a very good writer, and I was happy to see a fellow indie writer, with that kind of skill. It's nice to see. Next up, I read something that was just pure popcorn, giving myself away here a little bit with some of the geeky stuff I get into. But this is called Bloodline of the Gods, Unravel the Mystery of the Human Blood Type to Reveal the Aliens Among Us by Nick Redfern. I listened to this on audiobook. I'd actually read it before, sometimes I go down rabbit holes on the internet. I mean, I know I'm not the only one. And I've been in kind of like a conspiracy theory UFO type of mood. So I couldn't resist getting this and listening to it on audiobook. And being an Rh negative blood type myself, and always kind of wondering if I was part alien, this confirmed a lot of my my personal theories. So this kind of gets into some different theories about Rh negative blood and how it's a very small percentage of the world population, but we do have trouble mating with Rh positive people. So it kind of proposes this idea that we're a different human species and that we are part alien. And Rh negative blood people, like myself, come from a background of Irish or Basque, Spanish Basque people. So yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I could geek out a little bit sometimes. I also read, as part of the Bloody Beach read, Kill River by Cameron Rubeek. I bought 1 and 2. This one, I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. It's definitely fun. He's got his kind of shtick down with his 80s slasher stories. I read his other book, Disco Death Trap. I thought that was a better book. I think this was one of his first books, and maybe he was still kind of figuring out a little bit of what he was doing. I think Disco Death Trap, I think it was just a better put together story, but this was certainly fun. I found myself kind of getting a little frustrated with it just because it kind of took a long time to get the characters to the setting at the water park where they are being pursued by a serial killer. But, it was pure popcorn, so, it's fun. And a lot of people on BookTube really love this book, so, it might just be me. So I read 6 books in the month of July, and considering one was very long, I think that's quite a bit. Like I said, I've been kind of going into this alien thing. I started reading or listening to an audiobook, Chariots of the Gods, again. I've been picking up some other alien books. I don't know, I'm in an alien state of mind, what can I say? If you have any good alien books, like conspiracy theory books that are a little more comprehensible than some of them, then put them below. I would love to check it out. So that is what I read for July. I'm looking forward to my August reads of looking at the books of my father. My dad was very much interested in the Native American people and the people of the frozen north. So the books will be around those themes, and all not fiction, all nonfiction. So I expect to get a bit of an education, and I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's important to open yourself up to new reading experiences. I tend to get stuck in these niches, and sometimes it's good to just clear your mind of all of that and read something different. So I will do a separate video about that and let you know what I'm looking at, and maybe some of you guys know some of these books that I'm going to be checking out.
Hi, Lily.
That's all I have for today. Let me know what you read in the month of July, if you read any of these books, and I look forward to hearing from you. Always feel free to leave a comment. I really enjoy hearing what you have to say. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.